One of the longtime members and great contributors to our Target program, Al, Acoustic Al, put up a video of him working on the Pearl Jam tune, Finger Picking Song. Great song. I have never, well actually I think I'd heard this once on the radio a while ago. It was Just Breathe. Great little tune. Picking is exactly, well, it's really big, just like Dust in the Wind. So if you can play Dust in the Wind, you can play this. And Al, I just have a couple of suggestions in there. Slow it down a little bit, but you know, I tell that to everybody all the time. You are doing a great job. Your right hand is doing a great job of just ripping through that picking. In Eddie's video, you can clearly hear this note at the end, getting up to that high A on a C chord. He also is still holding the C in the bass. Now, that means that he's not doing this and just letting his whole hand go up there. Now, this might seem impossible, but if you want to take it one step further, get in really good hand position and see if you can reach that A while you still have the C chord down. That will sound like this. Now, he does let go of the chord for the last bass note, but he keeps the A ringing. So the main thing you could do is try to get smoother transitions at the end of every measure just before a chord change. There's a little too much of a very clean break. Anyhow, so if you could make that stretch, it could say, and then the last, so that last stretch to the high A is going to be done with a pinch on the 5th string in the bass on the C, and then you're going to let go of the chord and let the last bass note be open. It's really going to be an open D. Then your 2nd and 3rd fingers are going to land exactly like you did on the 2 notes for G chord. And you're doing a good job with this stretch. So I'm kind of thinking if you can make that stretch right there from your 3rd to your 4th finger, 2 frets, you might be able to make it on the C chord as well. And make sure to play the last bass note after the last pinch. This is what makes yours sound just a little choppy at the end. How's it go? Rather than, I'm ripping through that probably way too fast. Let me slow down and do just the G change again. Add the E, back to the D, pinch on the B, and a pinch on the D, and make sure to play an open bass note, because that open bass note at the end will fill in the gap so it doesn't sound like this, so you don't have that silence. Now, back to the C for one last thing, and that is, if you can't, I think you can do this, but I think there's a lot of people out there that might like to play this song and are going to tell me physically they cannot possibly get their 4th finger to the 5th fret on a C chord. There is a workaround here, and that is, if you have to let go of the whole C chord to go get that note, play the open G, oops, not the B, G, in the bass right there, because that note will then keep ringing while you go land in here, which would be a better choice than the A you played in there. That would sound like this. Oops, however that goes. Anyway, so that would be workaround number 2. Well, workaround number 1 is make the stretch. Workaround number 2 is go to the open, well, and actually there's workaround number 3, and that would be switch your 1st finger to the C in the bass to get that too. I should have brought that one up earlier. This was sort of an emergency kind of one. That at the speed the song's going is going to be tough, but that would mean you pinch the G, and then as you go up to the high A, grab that C in the bass with your 1st finger. That'll sound like this. That makes it seamless. And so in the video of Eddie, they never showed his hand or the one that you put up for us, they never showed his hand when that was happening. So I can't say for sure whether he's making the stretch. I think he can. I think he has pretty big hands. Or whether he's going to the great lengths to switch to his 1st finger in the bass. That's generally an overkill move for people that are more interested in just playing a great song. It's kind of like too much attention to detail and technical things that most singers and songwriters don't really worry about. Instrumental guitar players and composers and arrangers frequently do. So I have rambled on too long about this one little issue, but just something to think about that might help out with it. And I really appreciate you putting the song up because I was not very familiar with it. It is very cool, and it might actually warrant a whole lesson someday.